and their organization starts all meetings 10 minutes after, 10 minutes before, which is weird to me. It's weird.
Well, we're trying to end 10 minutes early, but that doesn't work out.
It just puts me right there at the time that it's happening.
Chris, is my name in a Halloween style that it's kind of creepy?
It is in a blood
very creepy
style.
Does it feel creepy?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Happy Halloween, Jerry.
I should go get the hat that I'm going to wear tonight if any kids come by, but I don't know if they will.
Oh, well, now you have to. Now you have to get the hat that you might be wearing if children come to your house.
Well, while you're talking to Cathy, I will go do that because it'll take a couple minutes.
All right, I'll put you in the green room. How's that?
Yeah, when that.
Yep, that was easy. Oh, so funny. Thanksgiving we have turkey hats. We didn't think through a Halloween hat. I didn't think it through.
Yeah.
How have you been, Cathy?
Good.
Yeah. Do you have Halloween plans this evening while we wait for Jerry?
Well, so we are in a new house, and so it's our first Halloween at this house. The neighborhood's a little older, based on it's gated community, so we're not going to get the drive-bys. So I mean, I'm expecting 30 kids. Maybe that's what they seem to think.
It's pretty good.
I got full-size candy bars. I thought it'd be the big hit, if nothing else.
I am not a I don't know what. I guess when the kids got older, I'm just not a stand at the door and hand shit out when the doorbell rings kind of guy.
I love the costumes. It's the best.
Yeah, no, that's not my jam.
See what they come up with, and the parents, and
I think I'm just inherently lazy. I don't want to get off the couch, sit back down, get off the couch. Like if I was sitting outside, maybe if I had a fire pit.
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's an hour, hour and a half at the most. Then they go to bed. So.
And you don't get bothered by the teenagers who put no effort in and have a pillowcase?
Oh, I mean they're the last ones, and I usually pick one and dump the candy, and then I turn off the lights. So
do you Hunger Games it?
Gets all the candy, and then that's it.
Dump the whole bowl in one teenager's bucket and tell them to fight for it.
That's it. Yeah, turn off the lights and call it a day.
That. I think that's pretty awesome. Well, I don't know. Let's see. Do we have Jerry? He's working his way back. He may have had to go to the main house to get his hat. Mm-hmm. So no dress up for you then, I assume.
No, no. You always have aspirations. I have a Madonna costume from Desperately Seeking Season that I put together. Like I'd sewn my own jacket, and I've had it long ago. And I'm like, why would I wear that? What kid would even remotely even know who the hell I am? It's like some crazy lady dressed up from the 80s or something, and they wouldn't even know that. So,
oh my God, that's funny. Well, there's Jerry. Jerry's back. Let's see.
Hey, nice.
Boy. Well, I think that's some
is spectacular.
Full screen activity right there.
I have two.
Okay.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
So there's this one.
That's two more than I have. Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I like the other one.
You like the other one better?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's not bad. Both are great.
I think they're both good.
Yeah, they're both great, but the other one's fun.
I could have, you could have gone with like a Dumbledore kind of thing, maybe.
Well, this is what we had, so.
I think it's great. I love it. Well, are we ready to dig in? We got some stuff to talk about.
Sure.
All right, here we go.
Welcome to the CXR channel, our premier podcast for talent acquisition and talent management. Listen in as the CXR community discusses a wide range of topics focused on attracting, engaging, and retaining the best talent. We're glad you're here.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to a spooktacular podcast series. That's probably going to be the end of the Halloween puns, except for Jerry's hat. I am Wednesday Adams. This is Pugsley. We're happy to and excited to be here today. Jerry, how are you this afternoon?
I'm just fine. Life is good.
Good to see you. Good hat choice. Not mad about
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. If you have joined us and you're watching live and there's a chat window, go ahead and drop a note in there and say hello to everybody. You can weigh in with questions for our guest today. We've been friends with her and working alongside her for a long time now. I feel like it's been quite a while. So we're super excited to have her in and on the show to talk a little bit about her topic of expertise du jour. But until we do that, just a reminder, cxr.works/podcast. You can get all the former previous episodes that we've done. You can see what episodes we have scheduled ahead. And of course, you can jump in on the live streams when we're doing those. And again, like I said, if there's a window, I think the chat typically shows up. It's on Facebook and LinkedIn, but I think we can only chat back on LinkedIn is the way that works. So if you're on LinkedIn and you say hello, we're going to say hello back. But if you say hello on Facebook, we're just going to wave to you because we can't do a chat back. Really quickly, we do have kind of some fun news to share. We've been working on a little bit of a project, and Jerry thought it'd be fun to do a quick walkthrough of it. It's a little bit, it's still kind of in a beta. It's 99% there. I feel pretty good about it though. Jerry, you think it's ready for a quick overview?
Yes, it is, without a doubt.
Without a doubt, it's ready for an overview. All right. So for those who may already know, this is 2 minutes, super fast. Who may already know. So for years we've done a directory. So this is, and one of my favorite things to say, the idea was born atop a rooftop bar. And we had TA leaders. We were in Chicago, I think. We had TA leaders from Disney, BASF, and was it GE? I think it was GE at the time, who said, hey, Chris, hey, Jerry, can you give us a spreadsheet of what everybody's using, like their tech stacks? And we, of course, said, yeah, sure. We talk about it all the time. Well, fast forward, I guess it's been 6 years, 5 years, something like that. And that has evolved into a couple of different iterations. And ultimately, we have pulled together a listing of products and services that our Colloquium members use, right? Our membership uses. Yep. And we have collected almost 6,000 ratings and reviews in the platform. So it was, the members had said it might be time for an update. And so we have made an update. So we'll give a little preview of that. But Jerry, before I fire that up and share it on the screen, do you want to say anything about it? Did I sell it short? Am I missing anything?
Well, I think the big challenge is trying to figure out what people would be searching for if they've got a problem, if they got a solution. What's keeping me up at night? So I'm looking for what? Background checks, whatever. That's one of the more simple ones that you could find a category for. But when you're talking about something that relates to recruitment marketing, they may be thinking of a whole host of different things, an employer branding tool, something as programmatic, social marketing, et cetera, et cetera. So the real challenge is helping someone find the set of tools that they should be looking at that they can add to their tech stack.
Yeah, and I think the call out, the way we've done this is not done with one party's advantage in mind. We did this so that it helps both sides of the equation, if you will, from the corporate side, the buyer, to the vendor solution side, the seller, if you will, right? The provider. And I'll just throw it up on the screen. You see that?
Yep.
There we go. So it's super easy. I think I've got we'll throw this up there too. How's that? Well, that just takes all the space up. Anyway, it's cxr.works/directory. I don't want to take away from the screen. You can see. You can do a search in the top here. It's super easy to get through. Members will have obviously another level into this, transparency into ratings and that kind of thing. But you can see just on the homepage, there's some cool stuff going on. The vendors and the solution providers can actually drop in these one-click downloads, which are pretty slick. I'll do let's do this. I'll just jump into one of these. Kind of see how the listing is laid out. We've thrown all the categories on the left. Should feel pretty familiar. Easy way to sort of navigate as you get through this. Different areas we've built these out. There is a cool feature coming from a total rankings perspective down the road, but you can easily just kind of go through these. Let's do Workday for instance. I can click and take a look at what's going on with Workday. But you can see we've had 54 folks drop a rating. 37 of those 54 had a positive NPS score. So that's how this works. We're not highlighting negative ratings, and we are showcasing, that total NPS score and that review or that rating. If an organization drops in a review and is a negative NPS score, I think it's really important to call out a box pops up and asks for constructive feedback. And we share that constructive feedback anonymously. That constructive feedback goes to the representative that we may have sort of sitting on and managing that platform.
Anonymously.
Yep. And then you can just kind of scroll through. You can see we've got a bunch in here.
I think the most important thing for my thinking is that because we're a peer member organization, what our members are able to see more importantly than anything else is the contact information, if you will, or be able to contact those people who are using the product.
Yep.
And so, peers should be able to benchmark with one another in terms of how they're using something, why they're using it that way, how they're dealing with the vendor, et cetera. And to me, that's extraordinarily valuable.
Yeah. And I think what you'll see here, the folks who drop in the ratings and reviews, if you're not a member, nobody gets access to that. It is just for the members to be able to connect with each other and kind of see. So if I were logged in, and my view shows everything, so we're not doing that on a show, but if you were logged in as a member, you would literally see a list of those folks, your colleagues and peers, your vetted CXR members who can jump into that and connect with directly, or you can jump right in. In this instance, I pulled Maurice up. She just finished sort of updating her profile. You can take a look at that. And kind of see what's going on in that space. So it's just kind of an interesting thing. There we go. We'll pull that off. Interesting thing. We've had some fun with that over the last couple of years, but I am super excited that it's out there. And we are offering up a profile for everybody. There is a leveled profile that absolutely any vendor in the space can build one out if it's TA related. If you drop some HR bullshit in here, it's not going to be in there. If you drop something else, it's never going to make the cut. So if you just drop some trash in there, or if you're sage beans, that's never going in here. Those guys hit me every single day. You know what I'm talking about. I see Cathy in the green. She's laughing. If you're hitting me on LinkedIn 15 times a day with a robot, you're probably never going to show up in here. But we're having some fun with it. We thought we'd call that out. It's cxr.org/directory if you want to check it out. So with that, do we want to bring our guest in?
Let's do that.
Okay, that was an awful lot of us. Let's talk a little bit more about Cathy. There she is.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's a great site. I think it's so intuitive to be able just to see the real users, right? It's the Amazon reviews of products. And just to be able to see, quick things about what they think about it. And then obviously if you want more information, you want to find somebody like you that uses the tool, it's really valuable.
I love it. It's a niche sort of delivery within TA, some ratings and reviews. We're not doing that Glassdoor methodology of holding your page hostage. Right. There's none of that garbage. I've been on that side of the equation. That it's fine, but that's not the model that we're using. Not by any.
Well, I think you made the point about being exploratory, right? Because you don't even know all the products that are available, and just to get a good starting point about different tools that are out there and people are using is really helpful to get a start.
Yeah. Well, Cathy, let's. It was not supposed to be a paid infomercial about the new directory. We're just excited that we've got it up and running, and it's fun to click around. Let's talk about you, Cathy. So before we jump in, why don't you give us sort of an escalator pitch as to who is Cathy Henesey? Why should folks be paying attention to you today?
Sure. Cathy Henesey. I am Vice President of Talent Acquisition for Advent Health. Advent Health is a premier healthcare system. We are located in 9 states, a little over 54 hospitals. We just acquired 5 new ones in the Denver, Colorado area. So very excited about that. That brings us right over 92,000 employees. That means we have doubled in size since I've been here in the last 6 years, which is incredible. And our trajectory is to do the same, is to double by 2030. So we're looking at being 180,000 employees by then. So we roughly hire about 29,000 external hires, and we process another 8,000 to 9,000 internal movements. So, we know volume for sure, and we are very creative in trying different ways to try to figure out how to find those candidates. So, if it's out there, I promise you we've tried it, and we'd be happy to share our story with the success and failures, because we have a lot of them.
Well, that's what makes you such a great community member of Career Crossroads, right? You are a sharer.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Because I get it tenfold back. So what
You
I
do
learned,
indeed. You do indeed. And you've done it with a couple of different organizations in the industry too, for those who don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So always happy to share.
So let's talk about early career. So
Sure.
when we usually hear early career in recruitment, we think of early career in college recruiting. And we're taking a little bit of a spin on that, because you're going to talk a little bit about what early career recruiting means, necessarily at Advent Health and to you, that may not necessarily be the traditional college recruiting that we think of when we hear that phrase most often.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, college is just one aspect of getting candidates, right? But that's only for those degreed professional type positions. But you look at the makeup of what runs a hospital is very similar to hospitality or any other type of industry. There's many roles that are critical to the success of a hospital, but they don't require a bachelor's degree, right? And so how do we get people interested into other types of programs, or just into healthcare in the beginning? We have a shortage of candidates overall, and there are not enough people that are introduced into healthcare at an early stage in life, in middle school or high school, right? It just doesn't happen unless you happen to have a family member that's a nurse or a doctor or something. You don't get introduced to that. I didn't know anything about healthcare when I was in high school, and so this is a way we are always looking for ways to introduce that into at an earlier level. But more importantly, just get them in and then show them all the different paths that can exist in a healthcare system. Whether it's a lab tech or research or oncology research. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can interest a person that they don't even think about.
Well, I think that's a great call. I mean, I'm looking to see, like, can you share some insights into maybe how Advent Health, the early career recruiting has changed, right? Particularly, I guess, without leaning on what we think of as sort of traditional campus recruiting. Like, what's the differentiator there? What insights do you have?
I think the biggest thing that we're really trying to do is work with the local and I'd say vocational schools, if you will, or just high school. Really, we're in the process of investing more time and resources into those high school programs to just get people into an entry level job, and whatever that looks like. That could be, a front patient registration role, or our food service, or any type of interaction with financials and doing billings, whatever that could look like to get into an entry level role with us. We'll say, listen, come work for us at the lowest level possible. And then we're going to show you a path on how to get more education, if that's what you want, or how to advance in more technical careers that maybe you don't need that education, but it provides a career where you can change jobs, every year to 2 years, but stay with the same company, right? We often hear that the younger generation wants to change jobs all the time. No, they don't. They just want to change and learn more frequently than those in the past, right? So maybe that means changing jobs every 6 months to gain knowledge. Oh,
Cathy, I have 5 members of my family, and obviously I have a very large family, but cousins' kids who in the last, let's say, 5 years have gone into a healthcare role that was pretty much that entry level, whatever, and over time went to school with the help of their employer in some of the local hospitals and hospital systems. And 4 of them are, well, 2 of them are technicians, and 3 of them have become nurses.
wow!
And I'm fascinated by the fact that they basically grew up in the environment of that as a learning system.
Sure, absolutely. And it's just, and they just don't, and nobody knows that those are available, right? I mean, we have especially in our rural markets, we really try to partner with just whatever local school, I'm not talking about a bachelor's school. I mean, just a vocational program to say, what can we do to get your kids into the school, helps the community by supporting your education systems that are out there. And then we're going to work on tuition to get you paid, right? And pay for it up front for them, right? Because the other obstacle of these types of programs is even if they wanted to go to those vocational schools, they may not have $2,000 to shell out for a program, right? But that's okay. Come work for us, and then we'll pay for that while you go to school and get that additional experience.
Is it too early? Is it too early of days, Cathy, to talk about measuring the effectiveness of that shift in recruiting, like for non-traditional recruiting methods for these roles?
Yes and no. I think the healthcare systems have probably done it along the way for 30 years. I mean, we have plenty of chief nursing officers that said, I started out as a volunteer and, I cleaned up bedpans and, then somebody took me along the way and showed me how to be a nurse. Right. So it's happening organically, but now we're putting formal programs to it. So to be able to measure, to say, hey, this is how many people have gone through these programs, it's probably too early to tell.
Well, I imagine it's probably not too early, though, to share a couple of challenges, whether in crafting the program or rolling the program out.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest challenge is like we are working with, a school where we can do some certificate programs, just simple certificate programs, and we can get that interest from our own employees. So we first go after our own employees that are in these low-level jobs to say, hey, here's an opportunity to gain some knowledge and get that certificate. But then the next obstacle is, okay, then how do you get them into the job, right? Because they still need experience, and they, whether that looks like simulation or, on the job training, that still costs some investment money to be able to do that and get them. And many of those, like a certificate may require 6 months of training before you get an actual certification. So then you really have to partner with your local leaders to make sure that we're building programs like this. Like we had a program where we went kind of full force on a certificate, but then they realized we don't even have a job to hire them into to get that experience. So, we have to think about, do we need to create that entry-level job description so that they can come in and gain that experience while they're working, whether that looks like some type of an externship or an internship type job. It's people just don't kind of think about that all the way through. One of the other things we'd like to do, I have, a goal is, to create more magnet type programs at high schools, with, healthcare type magnet schools. I mean, I've seen some competitors do it, some big ones at their headquarters schools, and they exist out there. It's just, we need more of them. So that takes some real partnership with your school districts to think about how can we have simulation labs. We can build a simulation lab in your high school, right?
Well, yeah, it's a massive investment.
Donated equipment. That's, we've got tons of equipment. So, it's just getting the right people in the right room to partner together.
So it's funny though, because you're talking about organically this type of recruiting, like bringing you in and bringing you up, has been going on for decades.
Right.
In healthcare. And I think it's a great call out to remind people it's not just nurses that get hired at these organizations. These are massive entities that need every type of role that you can imagine sitting within these facilities. But so even though it's kind of a little bit early days for formal programs like this, Cathy, I mean, I guess I'm wondering, do you see any of these methods that you're already playing with sort of becoming long-term strategies for Advent Health, if not the industry's TA?
Absolutely. I mean, I will tell you our long-term, our nursing long-term strategy is building just that. We are completely restructuring our teams to focus on, for nurses, they start out, they have to do a clinical rotation in your hospital. And that goes a little bit to college recruiting, right? But they have to start out in some type of clinical rotation. But even before that, in order to help pay for college, they need a means to do that. Well, they can come in at an entry level, what we call just a patient care tech, right? Just taking care of the patient, helping the nurse with different things. Doesn't require a lot of education. They can come work while they go to school part-time and work in those levels, in those jobs just learning the job and then start to take advantage of tuition reimbursement programs. But when they come in for those clinical rotations, I had a city that said, they had 600 students come through a year. And I'm like, okay, great. Well, how many did you hire this year of those 600?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you mean? Well, we don't hire them. What are you doing a clinical rotation for? This is for us. This is for the community, right? This is us to introduce them to our system. And they really thought it more as a community thing to do. And it's just something as a big hospital. That's what you do with a university, but they just didn't make the connection of, no, this is your future talent. These are the people that you want to work with, right? And so we're starting there with hiring them as nurse techs right out of as soon as they can at 18, 19, then help them get to school, help them pay for it, their education all the way through. And then that's where we look into these other vocational programs, whether it's, a lab tech or surgery technical surgery, certified technical.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah. Certified surgical technical people are the most difficult positions to fill. And it's just, who gets exposure to that? Nobody does. Right. And yet it's one of our most difficult positions to fill. So it's just getting introduced to that, and they're great, high paying jobs, right? That you don't have to go into, HVAC school or truck service school, and nothing against those industries, but they just don't get exposure to that at high school. And so there's great, but you've got to build a path for them to get there in an incremental way.
Well, and I love capitalizing on existing programs that maybe are already in play. And I think that's great takeaway for regardless of your industry. If your organization's doing outreach on some level and you're bringing people into your home, right, into your profession to see what's going on in the space, why wouldn't you take advantage of that?
Absolutely. And these little community schools and vocational schools, they would love assistance in getting people coming into the programs, right? They just can't get enough registered students in there, and because they don't know how to sell it, how to partner with schools, and you really have to take the lead in getting in there and partnering with them. And
it's no small lift for anybody who's ever done a program or tried to partner with shaping curriculum.
Right.
Not a small thing to do.
But the way we look at it is the only way to build a sustainable pipeline. Otherwise, we're just chasing, $20K sign-on bonuses and $10 incentives to work shifts and travel nurse contracts. I mean, you got to solve the problem. And the problem is there are not enough people at the top.
Cathy, can't we just start a referral program? Can't we just offer an incentive?
Yeah, let's offer 10,000. It's great. And they get candidates, but the hospital is going to be here 50 years from now. Right. And so there is a shortage of nurses forever. There's a shortage of healthcare workers forever.
Yeah, the impact of technology on the profession caused 40, 50 years ago, all of those hospital programs where nurses actually were taught in the hospital. So it was all clinical. I mean,
right.
And after 3 years, they became a nurse. So they got an RN.
Sure.
But all of those disappeared when the complexity of technology just required that they go to a more of a bachelor's kind of program. But all of those programs now are coming back as the pathway to get them to the college.
Yeah,
and I think that's great.
Well, and you think about the technology. I mean, if you are a tech buff, I mean, the medical technology and the robotics is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And you just, it's not featured on 60 Minutes, right? And all these, different jobs out there and Forbes. But if you're a techno geek, this is the place to be. It's really amazing. And it doesn't mean you have to be a nurse, You can be in the AIT team or informatics or, the AI technology that I'm seeing nowadays come out is going to be amazing for healthcare.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece that just gets missed typically, is that it's just when you think healthcare, I think most folks think the nursing side of it.
Right.
And to be honest,
and giving shots, right?
Yeah. And as a baby recruiter, way long ago, not as long ago as Jerry, but way long ago, I remember even then, like the in the green sheets and the employment guide, and it was all you were always competing in the Sunday paper. You're always competing for ad space with the hospitals or the healthcare because they were always hiring nurses, and there weren't ever enough nurses. There's always been a nursing shortage,
Right.
and I think that's
And there
traditionally
always
what we
will
think
be.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Until
so much
we
more than that.
change that profession of getting more people in, and then even then it'll still be a struggle, right? I mean,
Yeah.
We've got 20, 30 more years of baby boomers being alive, like knock on wood. I'm the last year of the baby.
Nice. It might be another 40 or 50 years.
Yeah,
No.
maybe.
Yeah,
I'm the last year, so
healthcare might extend us all.
right. I could go another 40 at least.
I think I told you, Cathy, I worked as an inner city. I worked as an orderly. I don't even think there's a job like that anymore, but I worked as an orderly on the 11 to 7 shift in an inner city hospital's emergency room for 2 years while I was in graduate school. And I have to tell you, I often commented that I learned more in those 2 years at that time than I learned in all of graduate school about the human condition.
Yeah, I was going to say the people and what they do at night.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I feel like that's a whole nother half an hour.
Yeah, we're not going to go there.
Well, Cathy,
it's a fascinating career, but it's not just for healthcare. I used to be in manufacturing before, right? And I think about I worked for Train, the heating and air conditioning company, and of course we would tap the HVAC schools and for technicians and salespeople and but other than just being an engineer, that was your primary positions that you filled, but there were so many other type positions that students just don't see pathways in these large companies and how to get in them and make a path for themselves. And so I'm just determined that we've got to reverse that and get into the schools and the parents and educate them on, don't you want to go after a, great scholarship or athlete scholarship or an academic scholarship, great, but there's a lot of hundreds of other ways to get full scholarships paid and careers created for students.
Look, anytime we can connect with leaders who are talking about hiring talent and investing in the talent, I want to turn the mics on. I think that's huge. We're not just looking for this cookie cutter college profile, but we're talking about bringing people in and giving them those actual skills to do that actual job.
Right.
And I just think the more organizations invest in that mobility within their organizations, the more successful they'll be. And I'm grateful that now we're starting to see that bubble up again. So I'm excited about it.
And I think we talked a lot about it at our leadership summit about, hiring people at 16. We're going to push those boundaries on where we can hire them at 16 and get that early introduction.
Yeah.
Into healthcare.
So Cathy, we asked this question to everybody that's on the show before we wrap up. If you were going to write a book about the state of things today, with regards to these programs and early career, and what do you think you would title that book?
Wow. Stop chasing your tail, maybe.
Stop chasing your what?
Your tail. Stop chasing your tail. We're on a rat race of trying to fill positions, like get ahead of the race. Right. Is because it's brutal to try to go after the experienced people all the time when there's a whole pool of people coming up that don't know the opportunities exist there.
I love it. All right. So present company excluded.
Yes.
Who gets the first signed copy of your book, Cathy?
Oh, first signed copy. That's a good question. Oh, that's a tough one. Probably have to think back to some of my first early, there's a couple of managers that hired me right out of college in 100% commission job and, believed in me and, so and I went forward and trained me. I still keep in touch with them and
I love that.
So I think that would be fun for them to have.
Very cool. It's very generous of you. Reaching all the way back.
Cathy was teaching folks how to use the internet to recruit for computer
world
when I met you.
Yeah. IT recruitment.
That was in the 90s, and people were still trying to spell the World Wide Web.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's crazy. And now we're going right back to that old school sourcing, right?
You betcha.
Just with better technology now.
Yeah, the
If
bots
they only knew
will
what
do
they-
it. The bots will do all the sourcing for us, and the bots will even spell World Wide Web for us. Yeah, that's perfect. Well, Cathy, I want to thank you for joining us. I know you're super busy. We're glad you jumped in. Enjoy your spooktacular afternoon.
Yes,
I hope you get some
absolutely.
great creative trick-or-treaters tonight.
I'm going to look for them. They're future recruits, right? I'm going to look for the doctors and nurses.
That's true.
Maybe I should come out with little cards, Say, have you thought about a career? What's your mom do?
Don't ask any trick-or-treaters what their mom does. That's just my advice for today. All right, gang.
All right.
CXR.org/podcast. You can check out the rest. We'll have this up on Spotify, iTunes, and all those other places folks listen to within a couple of days. Cathy, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
All right. Good to see everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the CXR channel. Please subscribe to CXR on your favorite podcast resource and leave us a review while you're at it. Learn more about CXR at our website, cxr.works, facebook.com and twitter.com/careercrossroads, and on Instagram @careerxroads. We'll catch you next time.